So we're going to advance our breathing practice, our meditation, just a little bit more. And it's not too difficult, so don't worry. But what I want you to do is the same breathing practice of just being conscious to your breath, conscious breathing. But this time, you're not going to close your eyes. And we're simply going to just be present here and now. And just give yourself permission to slow down and fully relax. And feel how you're sinking into this moment deeper and deeper. And already coming to a nice, relaxed state. Good. So, keeping your eyes open, all you're going to do is just observe with your awareness. This is a little bit more advanced because we have our eyes open, not really blocking out our visual sensor or sense of sight. We still have that. But you're simply just going to breathe. Don't need to control your breath. The breath happens naturally. It's not like you're controlling your breath all the time. But what we're going to do is we're just going to be conscious of the breath, the inward breath and the outward breath, as well as the two gaps in between, the inward gap and the outward gap. So we'll just practice just a couple minutes. Just sit and be aware of that inward breath, outward breath, in, out, in, out, in, out, and just continue, and I'll stop guiding. Good, and relax. So, as you can tell, it is more difficult than having your eyes closed. But what I want you to do is kind of introduce you, not really what I want you to do, but I want to introduce you to being aware of your breath with your eyes open. Because this then is the start of an ongoing meditation that you can do anywhere. You can be in the grocery store, at line, in the line, right? And you don't need to close your eyes. That's totally fine. Doesn't matter what people think. You can totally close your eyes and just be conscious of 3 to 5 breaths. And you'll notice that makes you more present, right? But then we're advancing that a little bit more. And what I'm getting you to practice is the ability to have all your senses on, right? You're not shutting off your eyes. You're not closing your ears, right? You're having all your senses on, but you're able to control that attention, where most people have all their attention going outwardly. And there's very little attention on the inner body. So what this does is it allows you to start basically controlling your senses, which almost feels like you're kind of blocking senses, but you're just basically turning that attention inwardly. It's like you can kind of feel like that attention is leaving outward and kind of coming back to the inner body, the inner space. And this is something that once you can practice it sitting down, we can advance it even more, walking, driving, you name it. And with anything that you practice, you get better at. And when you get better at it, it starts becoming very automatic, where you'd be walking and you're conscious of your breath, driving the car and you're conscious of the breath, right? So that's the start of really having that attention to kind of recede from all the visual stimuluses, and then have that attention now on your breath. You're following that breath in, out, in, out. And like I said, it starts off with maybe just sitting, right? Keeping your eyes open, or sitting. You can even try sitting and facing a wall or something that's not so, that's immersive, that's really grabbing your attention. But then it basically develops with this practice, more discipline to be able to control that attention, to not have that attention just so compulsively, look at everything, and you're now, looking, and you're thinking, and you're putting labels on everything. You're able to see things, but you've got now that attention, you're keeping it inwardly. You start off with just sitting, and then you can do it in line as you're doing dishes or pouring some water or whatever it is that you're doing. You'll find that you can kind of just quickly pay attention to your breath. And it doesn't need to be long, like you're there standing and how do I do this, or worried about how do I focus on my breath and drive, right? It's just spontaneously throughout the day, periodically throughout the day, by just having the ability to just kind of almost the reminder, my breath, and then you kind of go back to whatever you're doing, right? I'm not saying that you need to be doing that 24/7, right? It's just it's like the next stage of your practice, because a lot of people just have the breathing practice and they say, I'm going to do my breathing practice for 5 minutes during the day. What I'm showing you is on the path is a lot of the practices that we're doing. I'm showing you that a lot of the practices, they need to be really integrated in our life, where there's not like, I do my practice just in the morning and that's it. I just focus on my breath for 5 minutes in the morning, and then I go back to being unconscious for the rest of the day. I'm showing you that you can, with the practice, you're practicing being conscious. So then it's being conscious. You throw that little bit of practice, being conscious of your breath, 3 to 5 breaths throughout the day, And you can easily add in extra practice time throughout the day. Maybe 3 to 5 times throughout the day. And it just starts off with these subtle reminders, right? But you can kind of pair them up with something that you're doing. Just like I said, while you're driving, you can just, every red light, right? We all hit those red lights. Every red light, just be conscious of your breath, 3 to 5 breaths, right? Instead of what most people do, red light. What do I got to do when I get home? Oh my God, got to get the kids to soccer and baseball and got to cook dinner. And right, that's not being present. That's worrying. You're worrying because you're thinking about the future. So then just being present, right? Just being present, conscious of your breath. You're sitting there anyways. So it's an easy thing to do, to pair up. And perhaps you have some, a lot of red lights coming, going to work or coming from work. It's a great opportunity to practice, to get some more practice in, right? And don't see it as practice. I got to be more disciplined, practice. What we're talking about here is being more conscious. The more conscious you are, the better your experience of life, right? The more you're here with life. If you're unconscious to life. So see it like that, where it's just that step. And you'll notice that you can do that. And it gets easier. Like I said, the start of any practice, there's that initial period where it does feel like there's some effort. But then after that, it kind of feels like a game. It feels like this is just something that you do. Red lights, just a little bit of awareness on your breath, and you'll really easily, you'll see how those 3 to 5 breaths turn into easily 10 breaths with no effort. You'll find that when you can, at work, be in a room with someone, right, and you're fully present, and you're just a couple breaths, right? And then you're now more present and you're with them, right? So like I said, with the breath, because we can only breathe in the present moment, and the breath is always here with you. You can't leave your breath, right? So your breath is always here with you. It gets you back from the future that most people are lost in, or it gets you back from the past, which most people are stuck in. It pulls you back, anchors you back. It's that return to home button, breathing. Now you're present to the breath. 1, 2, 3. Now you're present. And then you'll see, you'll get kind of lost again. You'll get stuck again throughout the day. Who knows how long that's going? Maybe that's going on for another 3 more hours. But then with that periodic reminder of, oh yeah, I'm just in line. Let me just come back to my breath. And that's the practice. It's just coming back to the present moment. And you'll start experiencing that present moment, you start experiencing more and more of that present moment. And being more conscious, because you're practicing being conscious, you're practicing being conscious instead of practicing being unconscious. And like I said, your experience of life will get better. You'll start enjoying life more. And that's how powerful this is. So give it a shot.